So, okay, I want to go back to, you mentioned earlier about SoundCloud and how like, that, I know that was like a big part of your guys' early rise, and that was definitely the era, like during that time, it was like you could upload stuff onto SoundCloud and it was this like amazing community, super organic, like instant feedback, and it's not necessarily like, I mean, I think you still can do that, but it's like, now it's so much more saturated, and I think like, you know, maybe younger producers are looking more at like Spotify and like other things like that. So like, how do you feel like it's changed for you guys, like in terms of releasing or just musicians in general?
I don't know, because like I feel we kind of like did a record deal at the point where like SoundCloud turned into the weird thing what it is now. So I don't really know. Like it definitely, I think when we started out, we could put a song up on SoundCloud and it would just go like crazy. And we don't really have that type of platform anymore.
Yeah.
And it was like an amazing time because it's crazy. Like literally, I feel like the only reason I was like doing my beats was because I could put a beat up on SoundCloud and people were like, oh, this is cool, but the drums ain't that nice and stuff. And like it was literally like a community of people who all made like the same type of stuff, and everyone was just vibing off each other. And like, you don't get that now. I don't know. It was really, really, really good for like me even making beats, because like I said, I didn't really know what I was doing at the time. So people would give you like bits of advice or whatever. But SoundCloud was like our thing, man. Like I don't know if it's still the same, but like some of our records that blew up on SoundCloud, it was crazy, and you just watch them just going like, literally on your like Safari page, just being like, oh damn, man, people are listening to this. But like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're still up there. Like, they're just growing.
Yeah, they're still there.
They're like growing daily. Like,
they're still there somewhere.
Early remixes, and like I know like even like Hype Machine was like big for you guys, and I wonder like how relevant. I guess like so. A question to ask then would be like, I mean, I'm sure you probably, I don't know how what your system is with this, but like you probably get demos from people, or like, you know, people like sending you beats. Like, what do you look for in a new artist? Like, what catches your ear, like musically?
Nothing specifically. I just like, if it's cool, you know? I don't have a like, I just love music. So like if something makes you feel a certain type of way, and there's no like formula to anything for me. It's like, I feel like music is just like a thing where if you just do it right, it just makes you feel a type of way, and like that's nothing that I'm judging, you know? It's like, if you made a banger, you made a banger.
Well, I think like that's actually helpful for electronic musicians, because it's like what we were talking about earlier. A lot of people just want to make like really dope, like well-produced music that they can like show off as like it's like well-produced.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't have like a feeling or like emotion to it, then it's like, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a different way of looking at music. Like I used to play like guitar and stuff and sing songs. So I've never, I think it's like EDM what we make essentially. But like I've never looked at what I do as like producing like. You know what I mean? I like dance music. Like, I write songs. I think that's always what I see myself as. So, like, I kind of write any song before I would produce it, type of thing. I make beats and stuff, but I always think of it as more of like like something that goes along with a melody or whatever. So, it's just a kind of different thing.
Do you feel like as your career has like progressed, or you've made more and more music, you've moved from beat maker to like songwriter? Because like a lot of your stuff is hip hop based, but then like, you know, your new record single is like just like a good song. Like Definitely. It's not necessarily like.
The thing is, we always wrote songs. Like I love writing songs, and like that's like what we do. But I know what you mean, because I think like when we were starting out, we always wanted to work with like singers and rappers and whatever, because we weren't really you know what I mean? It wasn't like we're trying to do some like purely instrumental kind of like beats thing. Like I love songs. I like making songs. So we always were getting in the studio with like singers and top liners or whatever, and just trying to write cool songs. Because I think that's the thing. It's like I do write a lot of songs myself, but it's quite nice to just getting in the studio with someone, and you'll have like a little idea, and they'll just suddenly take it somewhere you never knew it was gonna go, and it's like, oh man, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just love writing songs, and it's always such a rush, just like coming up with something that has like so many things going on in it, rather than like just making a beat or whatever.
So speaking of that, you guys have had some really like just interesting collaborations. Like I think you've done a good job of crossing genres, you know, like especially like the last record. How does that like I guess how have some of those come about, like in terms of like meeting up with those people or like
I don't know. Honestly, it was like we've always, like I said, like we were kind of making our beats and we were like, let's make some tunes with people. So I think starting out, we just did a few EPs and we were just working with people who we knew, or like people from London, or like people who was just coming up or whatever. And like the more we traveled, you would just like meet different people and just do whatever. So like I feel like our second EP, we worked with like Sid out of the internet, and there was a few things, and like I think some of the like more like the bigger ones that people know is just like just have like a cool idea and you realize that it would suit a certain type of thing. Like I think when we wrote like All My Friends, we were just like, bro, man, this sounds like a big tune, so let's get someone. And I think we just signed to a record label. We signed to RCA in America, and Tinashe was on it, and they were trying to get us to collaborate, and we were like, we'll write a song for her, man, it's all good. And then there was like a second verse, and we were like, man, let's try and get Chance on this second verse. At like no point we thought he'd actually cut the verse, you know what I mean? So he like came back in an email one day, we were like, bro. But I don't know, we were just trying to reach for the right thing, and like, I think like just doing things that make sense rather than, you never like pitch something to someone that doesn't make any sense, you know? We wouldn't have been like, oh, you could do a verse on this, but they'd be like, oh man, this doesn't sound like something I would sing on. You just write the right type of thing, and it's always just been artists we've been into, man. Like genuinely. Yeah. Like I think everyone we've worked with has just been like cool fucking person who just, it's like, hey, we like your music. Do you want to sing on? You know. That's always it, you know. Yeah.
Do you when you're writing music, do you go into it like when you're starting a song? And maybe this changes. Like I'm probably not the same every time, but like, do you go in with like an idea of like I want to make this kind of song with like this person in mind, or is it just like blank slate more often than not?
Yeah, not really, because I think when we do stuff like that, it always turns out different what you think anyway. I don't think we've ever been able to go and be like, let's do this type of record, and it always just end up in like a million miles away from what you thought it was going to be. You know? Like genuinely, I don't think. An
example of that, like of one of your songs that like started a certain way?
I feel like probably all of them. I feel like Gucci Rock'n'Roller, the last one, like I don't know what the hell that started out as, but like it definitely ended up in a different place.
Yeah.
But it's cool there as well, because it's exciting, and you'll suddenly be like, oh man, like, you know, that sounded like this, but now it sounds like that, and like, you know, you just roll with it. But we never had too much of an agenda, because I don't think we'd work very well if you have like a brief to work to. It just sounds kind of stupid. I don't know if that would work out too well.
Yeah, I mean, I know like the song with Zayn, it's kind of got like a New Jack swing going on.
Right.
Like, so I wonder, but it sound like was that just like happened? Like,
well, I don't know. I feel like it was like a couple of things that went down. It was like, wait, this would sound cool if we sped it up to this, but like, it wasn't like we were trying to write a New Jack swing record.
Right.
He does that shit, man.
In 2016.
I know. Yeah. Nah, I don't know. Like, sometimes you just come up with something and it suddenly makes sense if you flip it like this or you do something like that. Like, there's been a few things where I've had a few tunes like that where you'll be like, what happens if you just pitch it down, you know, a million things to slow it down? But it's just part of the process, you know? Yeah. I don't know. I never stick to like a plan. It just do what you got to do.